Creed, listen, buddy. I know you're a guest, okay, and you sleep in the attic, but you can't be making this noise like you was making last night. It was ridiculous. Like I literally couldn't sleep. What do you mean that wasn't you? I heard it as clear as day. It was coming from up there. I heard it all. Some weird mumbling sound. What do you mean you wasn't even here? Well, anyway.
You're gonna make a fine little piece to my collection. She will not be alone.
Hello there, internet dwellers. Welcome back to the ARG that Alex Kansas is making on some kind of, I don't know what I think it's American, like, monuments and stuff like that. Last episode, we learned that the Washington Monument was actually a tree that makes some kind of sound that kills people. But yeah, we've got two today because one's 18 minutes long. Yeah, so there's two more after this. See for ourselves. This one here is called Delaware Double. Be sure to subscribe to Alex Kansas if you like this. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, guys, leave a like rating down below, right there, right now. That dislike button's got plenty of friends. It doesn't need any clicking on it. But if you do click it, 7 years bad luck. I'm sorry, okay? I don't make the rules. And also subscribe if you enjoy this content. But hey, don't do it just yet. See if you enjoy the content. If you do, subscribe. You know, we always credit the people oh, what's this? Welcome to Delaware. Oh, let's put the voice on. Hang on.
An accidental discovery made by two fishermen has sent shockwaves across the nation. Around 4 p.m. on Christmas Eve, Ralph Grassman and Michael Tillman were reeling in the last batch of catfish when something on the ice caught their eye.
Okay.
It looked like a bicorn, one of those.
Hell, that's not. But that's a man. That's a man with a weird baby face.
Way back when, said Grassman.
Oh.
The others of the two who also organized the trip. Grassman walked down the ice to retrieve the hat. When he pulled back the hat from the ice, someone back in shock at the sight of a human scalp, partially exposed in the ice. Tillman walked over and after a brief discussion with Grassman, agreed to remove the rest of the body from the ice. The effort took several hours, but by 10 p.m. the fishermen were able to pull the entire body from the ice with no further damage.
Well, it's been preserved, isn't it? It's iced body. I think that's how you preserve it.
Although both men had presumed that the individual was already dead for some time, Tillman exclaimed in shock when he reportedly saw the individual's eyelid twitch. Grassman suggested
nerve endings. Oh, hang on a second. Did you see that? Oh, it just opened.
Just to immediately take the body home in an attempt to revive the frozen man. They proceeded to carry it back to Grassman's apartment. They laid the body in a full bathtub, gradually raising the water's temperature throughout the night to prevent shock. Grassman claims to have learned this technique from a pulp magazine.
I mean, ice is water, so technically if you're in ice, you're in water. So how could you revive someone whose, like, lungs have been, like,
as a child?
I don't know.
At 2 a.m.
they basically drowned, surely.
The following morning.
Unless they got frozen over, like they died and then got frozen. Then they'd have had to have died in the first place. I don't understand.
The individual briefly regained consciousness and shouted, "Victory or death," while Grassman rested in the living room.
Uh-oh.
By 7 a.m., the frozen individual appeared to have relapsed into a deep coma, which prompted Grassman to phone the local authorities. And that's why he hadn't called medical personnel earlier. Grassman told reporters that he didn't want to risk the lives of the first responders, who had been driving on slippery roads in the dark. Shortly after being phoned, paramedics arrived and rushed the frozen man to the Delaware State Hospital.
Gee, this freaking audio quality, man. When was this?
Both fishermen thought the individual's face seemed vaguely familiar. Only when Tillman pulled out a dollar bill that the connection was fully made.
It's not Washington.
When we first dug him out, we moved his clothes so that we could carry him more easily. Clothes weighed a ton because they were completely frozen over. By bet if we saw the clothes without ice, then we could have no doubt that we dug out George Washington. Although Delaware State Hospital has declined to comment on the identity and the condition of the man, Grassman brought the bicorn hat from the previous day to the Delaware History Museum, where historians confirmed to be an authentic piece from the 18th century. The validation raised more questions than answers, as further research revealed that no Washington reenactors or artifacts have been reported missing. Grassman believes
what Washington's death I mean, it obviously was reported,
Dug
surely.
out from the ice is the tree George Washington.
I mean, I know this is an ARG, it's an alternative reality. I mean, yeah, I need to remember that. I need to stop pretending
The
that.
former president had become gravely ill while crossing the Delaware River. Grassman claims that the imminent death of Washington could have been devastating to the war effort, so his condition was likely kept secret by having a double acting as the president until 1797.
Oh, okay. So the real Washington died. Okay, it's like the old Paul McCartney. Not Paul McCartney. Yeah, Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney. What? Why did I do that? Oh, I make myself cringe. But yeah, there was a theory on the Beatles that Paul McCartney originally died in a car crash or something like that, and the person who is Paul McCartney now is a clone.
From the explanation to why the body had been found so far from the site of the battle, Grassman replied, he either drifted away or his men purposely planted it far away so that no one could find it. During Saturday's morning press conference, President Dean shared his thoughts on the discovery
my
in 2
God.
words. I'm
James Dean.
surprised.
James Dean's still the president. Let's move on to the rocker. This one's the 18-minute one, guys. So get comfy, okay? Go get a drink or something, a nice cozy cup of tea. You know, a little throw over the shoulders, right? Wrap 2 hands around it. You know, typical white girl stuff. You know, the way they do it in the films. Let's go, baby. A recollection of the tragedy by John D. Rockefeller, 1937. Okay, what was this drawn by? Okay, that was awful. Oh, hello there. The name's John Rockefeller, baby. How's it?
During the first winter of the center's construction, the workers set up a Christmas tree just outside the entrance. It was an uncanny sight to see a green fir stand in the middle of what appeared to be a no man's land. But
This is how they spoke back in the day. Everything goes up, 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 and down. Then up, up, down again, up. That's how news reporters still speak to this day. They talk like this, and then they talk like this. It's really annoying.
Humbly ordained with strings of cranberries, buttons, and tin cans, greatly affected me. It demonstrated that even in the darkest of times, the American people will light the beacons of hope. I thought it could be the start of a great and inspiring tradition, so I traveled north to Babylon in search of a Christmas tree for the following year.
Isn't Babylon where Jerusalem is now? Or am I thinking of something else? Virginia in Wonderland by Virginia. I'm dreaming of a...
12 days and 12 nights, Mr. Rockefeller looked for the best tree in the forest.
Oh, God.
How about this one, Mr. Rockefeller? No, it's much too short. How about this one, Mr. Rockefeller?
Too big.
No, it's much too tall.
It's the Goldilocks.
How about this one, Mr. Rockefeller? No, it's much too average.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Rockefeller soon feared that he would leave empty-handed. Then, on the 12th night, just as he was packing up his stuff, Mr. Rockefeller heard the sweetest tune in the air.
Oh, is this relating back to the whole trees with the sound thing, the Washington
It
Monument?
sounded as though the very wind itself had fallen in love. He and his men followed the song and found themselves at the base of a very, very special tree.
Hang on, is this
How
going...
about this one, Mr. Rockefeller? It's perfect. For the rest of the night, the men swung their axes at the special tree. Chop, chop, chop.
You're going to annoy
However,
someone, buddy.
When the sun rose, the tree was still standing. Their axes had left no marks at all. Mr. Rockefeller...
Yeah, this goes back to the other one where they were saying, like, cleaned out a forest or whatever, but they couldn't chop down one tree.
was surprised. The next day, Mr. Rockefeller and his men laid 100 sticks of dynamite around the tree.
America!
3, 2, 1, boom! Yet, the special tree continued to stand. Mr. Rockefeller was surprised. So Mr. Rockefeller
Mate, you're
decided to
doing
hire
something
the
wrong
best
here.
team of grave diggers to take the tree out of the ground. After a week of digging, they told Mr. Rockefeller The tree will be out in 3 years at this rate. Mr. Rockefeller was surprised, but he decided to let the gravediggers work.
Mate, a lot can happen in 3 years.
He would pick the next 3 best trees for the next 3 Christmases. But by the 4th year, the special tree was ready to display.
I'm gonna do this quick. Whilst you guys are... There we go. A recollection of the tragedy.
For the last 2 years, I have seldom mentioned the tragedy that occurred at the center. Many have taken offense at my silence, claiming it to be the result of a desensitization to workplace accidents.
Okay.
Indeed, I have seen enough accidents in 3 lifetimes, but nothing could have
Oh my God,
prepared
that
me
face!
for what happened at the center.
Bruh!
For some time now, my friends have blamed the center's original construction workers for the tragedy, since it was their very own Christmas tree that had started the whole tradition. But the truth is that their tree brought joy and wonder to the
Wonder?
public.
There's no H
It was
there.
my tree, and my tree alone, that brought about the unprecedented loss.
Okay, so it's going between 2 different storylines here. So this is going to tell us what happened.
December morning, in Midtown Manhattan, Rockefeller's men slowly raised the special tree.
Listen, if a tree doesn't come out from dynamite and axes, you probably want to leave it in its place, okay? There's some bad voodoo, juju, magical kind of spirited thing going on here.
Heave ho! Heave ho! Heave ho! By the afternoon, the special tree stood tall and still. It was
Where?
unlike any other tree, having no color, branches, or leaves.
What stood out to you? I guess it was the
Of
song,
New
wasn't it?
York, Mr. Guardia thought that the tree was too bare and asked for branches to be added so that ornaments could be hung.
Oh.
Mr. Rockefeller didn't agree. He thought the tree was perfect, just the way it was. But since Mayor Guardia had been one of his best friends, Mr. Rockefeller told his men to glue some branches on.
Oh, that's going to look awful.
Virginia, watched as the men placed branches on the special tree. I had saved my money for over 9 months to purchase a little star ornament.
Oh,
because
wow.
I wanted to be
How much
the
are you
very
making?
first person to decorate the Rockefeller Christmas tree.
Uh-oh.
It laid in my pocket while I watched, because I planned to hang my ornament as soon as the tree was standing. After the final branch had been added and all the men left, I quickly ran up to the tree.
Uh-oh.
But to my astonishment, the lowest branch of the tree was over twice my height. I jumped as high as I could, but still, the lowest branch was out of my reach. I was very disappointed. I wanted to be the very first person to decorate the tree, but now I had no chance. Unless I called my friends.
Uh-oh.
At
No,
once,
don't do
I
that. This is going to
began
be...
counting my friends on my fingers. There was Helen, Charles, Elizabeth, Alice, Joseph, Elsie, Orville, Edith,
Orville.
Olive, and Philip. 10 friends that I could ask for help. Then I
You are
realized that
sending your
10
friends to a grave.
standing on each other's shoulders
Oh,
would
no.
put me at the very top of the Christmas tree.
This is such a
My
kid
star
thought.
would be the first and the tallest. Without a second to spare, I ran from door to door, asking for help. Knock, knock, knock. Helen, are you there? Knock, knock, knock. Charles, are you
Look
there?
at the doggy.
Knock, knock, knock.
A
Elizabeth,
kitty.
are you there? Eventually, I gathered all 10 of my friends at the bottom of the Rockefeller Christmas tree. I told them my plan, to have them all stand on
Well,
each
they all
other
just
and
said
form
yes.
a ladder for me to climb to the top. My friends understood my excitement, and they quickly started to climb onto each other's shoulders.
No, this is going to end
Ow!
badly.
Helen had stepped on Charles' fingers. Ow! Charles had stepped on Elizabeth's fingers. Ow! Elizabeth had stepped on Alice's fingers.
And they all...
After many
They all
groans
fell.
and tumbles, my friends formed a sturdy ladder, and and I began to climb.
That does not look
My
sturdy.
joy grew with every passing face. Before I knew it, I was at the very top, looking down at the tree.
How are you going to get down?
My ladder of friends swayed back and forth, and occasionally felt like it was about to collapse. But I tuned out the movement and focused on the tree. Closer, friends, closer. Then I secured the metal star at the top of the tree. It was perfect. Hooray! Victory! I'm the first. Just then...
Why didn't you just ask one of the builders to put it up there?
Strange sound. The tree began to shake. Its glued branches fell off all at once, and the entire tree slowly bent backwards.
Oh my.
Soon, the very top of it touched the ground, forming a perfect arc. It was like a very strange rainbow.
So this is another tree then?
My heart sank as I saw my star gently slide to the ground from the tree's top. Bolts of lightning then shot out from inside the arc of the tree, producing thunderous booms. The lightning scared my friends and me. We all tumbled to the ground and ran in all...
I'm sorry, how did you not die from that?
But the lightning caught up to us. I was blinded by a great white light. I remember when my eyes adjusted, I was in a field of special trees, and I saw...
Whoa, hang on. There was more to that. And I saw so many people. One man ran up to me and whispered, "The trees are not trees." What are they then?
In a flash,
They're plants.
street where my friends and I had been struck by the lightning. We were all on the ground, being attended to by other people. I had scratched my legs badly, and I could see that my friends were also hurt. I looked up at the Rockefeller buildings, and I thought that they looked a little different.
So what, you're in a different
The whole
dimension?
street looked a little different, and the special tree was nowhere in sight.
Okay. See, I'm starting to think that the tree teleports them somewhere, because in the last Washington Monument one, that 19 people went in, but then the tree kind of like let them all go, and they were all unconscious. They didn't say they were dead, they were unconscious. So it feels like the tree sucks them in, preserves them, and then like teleports them to their minds or whatever to another dimension. Oh, here we go. So this is John D. Rockefeller's side of the story. So what, did they die?
It is only natural for the reader at this point to wonder why the incident has been referred to as a tragedy.
Oh, no loss of life.
There had been no loss of life, and, aside from a few temporary scorch marks on the center, no damage to the surrounding property. I, too, assumed it was a mostly inconsequential event, likely an electrical accident whose effects were exaggerated by the children at the scene. I was grateful that every life involved had been spared. A death at the center would have weighed heavily on my mind for some time.
Let's be honest, Mr. Rockefeller. A death would look bad for your business. That's all that is.
When I encountered the results of the children's medical examinations, I wished that a death had occurred in place of the unfathomed.
Oh, got cut off. He got headbutted. Oi, that's my daughter, mate. Bang! Why am I from England?
My mom and pa visited me at the hospital.
So what's wrong with him,
but they
Doc?
looked completely different. Ma looked worried. After she wiped her tears, she asked, "Did you hang your bear at the Rockefeller tree?" I answered, "It wasn't a bear. I was going to hang a star." To which they asked, "What do you mean?" Pa asked, "Where did you get these clothes?" I answered, "These are my clothes.
Wait,
the ones
what?
you helped me put on this morning." To which they asked, "What do you mean?" My ma then asked, "Why are there dots all over your face?" I
Freckles?
answered, "Those are my freckles. I've had them since I was little."
This is little
To which
Gingy.
they asked, "What do you mean?" My parents quietly left my bed and talked to my friends' parents. Then they all started to cry. And
So what,
yell.
they're not their real daughters,
The
or they're
nurses
not their
made
real
them
parents?
leave, which made me feel better. None of us thought that our real parents had visited, but they all did feel familiar. Orville and Philip were especially shaken. They didn't even share the same last name with their parents. The nurses tried to convince us that those who had visited us were our parents, and that we would come around to properly greet them after we healed.
Oh, they got some kind of memory
But it
loss.
was hard to believe. Whenever I looked out the window, I saw that Manhattan looked different from memory.
They've been teleported somewhere else.
Rockefeller himself was kind enough to visit us in the hospital. He
Hello.
asked us whether we were okay.
1786.
And after some time,
1786. What would that have been? Was it the Battle of Charlestown? I can't remember. I don't know what 1786 was. October 16, 1786, Congress establishes the United States Mint. I have no idea.
he and the nurses began to ask us some very easy questions about American history. With every reply, they would chuckle and shake their heads, until I told Mr. Rockefeller who I thought he was. He chuckled at first, and then became silent, as if the simple fact had deeply affected him. He had asked all my friends a few more questions about himself, and with each answer, he seemed a little more scared.
So it's him
Mr.
from a different
Rockefeller quietly
reality.
stood with the nurses for a while, before he wished us a Merry Christmas and left.
What happened?
That
Come on.
evening, the nurses took x-rays of us to make sure we hadn't broken our ribs. Usually, those taking the x-rays are more than happy to show their patients what the pictures looked like. When I asked
They can have like
the nurses ignored me.
roots.
I didn't fall asleep that night. I kept my ear close to the wall to hear what the nurses were saying next door. I heard one sentence over and over.
Which was?
Everything's backward. I wondered
Everything's
what they meant by
backwards?
that.
Well, their ass is...
I told my friends because I didn't want to scare them. But I spent the rest of the night with my hand to my chest, wondering if my heart was ever on the right side.
So everything's flipped. It's literally like the upside down in Stranger Things. John D. Rockefeller. Hello.
Good evening.
For several weeks, the children were kept under observation at the Columbia Presbyterian
This gets
Hospital.
interesting.
I
It was a bit
visited
slow
them
to begin
as
with,
soon as
but...
I had the chance to. All the families of these children were deeply unsettled, that they had all independently come to the conclusion their child had been replaced by a doppelganger.
Oh no.
They claimed that these new sons and daughters possessed substantial differences from their real children. The majority of differences involved...
I'm trying to think. Maybe it was they swapped when they went through the tree. There's like two versions of themselves, like the Mandela effect. But there was like two realities side by side, and they kind of just went like that. So now the kids think that they're in the wrong reality, and now the parents think that their children isn't theirs. Crazy.
Altered physical attributes and the inability to recognize familiar locations and characters, such as their parents and their homes. Two boys even claimed to have names different to those that their mothers had given them at birth.
Wow.
But of all the discrepancies, the most bizarre was their faulty recollections of notable persons and events.
Okay,
For
here we go.
instance, each of the affected children claimed that I had become the wealthiest man in America through an oil monopoly. It is common knowledge that I did indeed work at an oil refinery in my youth, but to entirely deny my 2 terms
So he was a president.
and insist instead that I had always been a mere philanthropist struck me as being particularly odd. The families were agonized by the children's behavior. Some continue to search for their real children. I support their endeavors, for I do not believe that the children's afflictions were the result of hysteria. Every day, I find myself recollecting the day that I had selected the tree. I have since realized the difficulties involved in the removal of it should have repeatedly discouraged me. And had I been discouraged, the families of those children would not be experiencing the anguish that they currently have.
Damn.
Perhaps I never had the opportunity to select another tree.
You did have an opportunity to select multiple trees. You were just picky,
Perhaps
buddy.
I was meant to select that tree regardless of my persistent character. Perhaps we are all trolleys, forced to follow the path of the track to each of our destinations. I take solace in that thought. Or perhaps the tree chose me.
Oh my god. It's kind of creepy, man. It's giving me goosebumps. So we need to put it all together, really, because this whole James Dean being the president thing, was that due to this tree as well? Yeah, there's got that tree's got to have something to do with that as well. The fact that all these things have happened. All right, let's hear her version. Oh no. Many, including my father, believe that... Okay. The 1984 Christmas tree vanished. This is untrue. I've seen it wandering in the plaza on many occasions, and it resembles a man far more than any tree. So this is where it is. Is that a person floating there? What is that? Oof. Oh my god. Guys, seriously, we need to get this guy more. So I mean, I know I don't have that many, but please, if you really enjoy this content, go watch. I want you to watch his content first, and then come back and watch me react to it. Just to, you know, that's what I like to do. When I watch something, I like to look at other people, how they reacted to the same thing, especially if it affected me in a certain way. But there we go, guys. That was fantastic. It's a special tree that is like a gateway. Because if you think about it, when the tree bends like that, it's like an archway. And then the lightning that comes out, it's almost like a portal, like a nether portal. But obviously the lightning that comes out the tree, whoever it touches, zaps them into the tree or whatever. But then in the Washington Monument, it happened to these people, and then they got blown out the other side. So these 19 people that were sucked in went to an alternate reality, came back. Well, there we go, guys. If you did enjoy this, be sure to go subscribe to Alex Kansas. Like this video, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Take care, guys.